Good morning, church family. We are going to look at the Heidelberg Catechism for our devotional thought this morning. We are looking at Lord's Day 46. So here's that reading. Question: Why did Christ command us to call God our Father? And the answer is, at the very beginning of our prayer, Christ wants to kindle in us what is basic to our prayer: the childlike awe and trust that God through Christ has become our Father. Our fathers do not refuse us the things of this life. God our Father will even less refuse to give us what we ask in faith. And the second question: why the words "in heaven"? And the answer is that these words teach us not to think of God's heavenly majesty as something earthly, and to expect everything for body and soul from his almighty power. So this is the section in the Catechism which is beginning with the Lord's Prayer. It's the prayer that Jesus taught his first disciples to pray. It's the prayer that he teaches us to pray. It's an incredible prayer that even people who, have drifted away from church or try to leave behind, we can just never leave it behind because it's so powerful. There's so much contained in the Lord's Prayer. I know people that pray for years and decades, reflecting on the Lord's Prayer each morning. But to get into what the Catechism teaches us here, it's plain. It's easy to see that Christ wants us to approach God as our Father, that childlike awe and trust. Doesn't the evil one, doesn't Satan love it when fathers are not present, when fathers are absent, when fathers leave behind responsibility, when fathers are not both strong and tender as our Heavenly Father is? I was watching this concert a couple nights ago on CBS. It was Adele. She has a new album out. She's an incredible singer from England, and she was doing the concert, doing the Oprah Winfrey interview, doing everything. They had a special because she has a new album coming out, and she was talking about explaining to her 6-year-old son that she loves his father, but she's not in love with his father. And so that is why they got a divorce. And this line of thinking is very commonplace in the world today, and it's just sort of accepted. But she said her son didn't understand that. It makes no sense to her son that if two people aren't in love, that they can't be together anymore. And needless to say, I agree with the son. I think that there's a lot of wisdom in children. I learn a lot from my son because children, they just have an innate sense of how the world should be. And they have that trust and that faith. It's almost like they have a belief even in God that the world sometimes strips away later. But my heart just broke for that 6-year-old because he's the one that's right. He knows that the world should be a place where people are committed to each other, people love sacrificially, where people honor the promises and the commitments that they make. And that is what the Catechism is getting at here. That's what Jesus is getting at when he teaches us how to pray, that we would approach God with that childlike faith, that childlike trust, that childlike wisdom and belief. So as you pray this morning, maybe you even want to take time now to pray the Lord's Prayer, but approach God in that way. No matter what your earthly father was like or is like, approach God with a childlike awe and trust, because God is awesome. God is trustworthy. Have a wonderful day.